Welcome to People Are Everything, the show where I ask my guests, who are the 5 people that have shaped the person you are today? And today we have Yasmin Ibrahim. I first met Yasmin, we were at some sort of event, and I think I was doing a talk about leadership, and she came over afterwards and we just started chatting. And she told me she was a psychic coach, and I was hooked. I wanted to know what that was. And she's an absolute delight. I mean, really, very, very warm, sincere, everything you'd expect. But I don't know, there's an energy about her. There's something about her that you kind of, you know, don't want to get a woo-woo about it, but she sort of transcends a bit. And I've since had one of her sessions. She sort of kindly offered to give me a little taster session. And it was absolutely brilliant. Like, I learned so much from that session. So you should check her out yourself if you ever fancied a psychic coaching session. So yeah, sit back and enjoy this one. This is Yasmin Ibrahim. We cover a lot of other ground, by the way. We don't just talk about this kind of thing. But yeah, enjoy. Hello, Yasmin. Welcome to People Are Everything. How are you today?
I am very, very well. And thank you so much for inviting me. I'm sure this is going to be really interesting.
You look really well. You looked really well last time we met. And I remember thinking I must try harder because you're just one of these glowing types, aren't you? Just glow. Is this all part of your thing, the well-being thing? You're working on yourself so much. This is what you look like.
I think what it is I've normalized practices so they don't feel like work. They're just part of my life. So I remember when I got into face massage before bed and I'd go, oh gosh, do I really need to spend 10 minutes massaging my face before bed? And now I just, if I'm watching something in the evening, I do it as I watch something and it's normalized. So therefore it becomes a habit. And then I don't think about it. And then the benefit is when someone says you look glowing, thank you very much.
You do.
It's working.
Yeah, 100% you do.
Yeah, so normalize well-being practices as something that is just habitual.
I love it. Is that a gua sha thing? My son bought me a gua sha. Do you know what that is?
Yeah, I do. I have used it, but I like to use my hands. I like to feel what's happening in my face rather than, I have a gua sha, but there's something about really nourishing the face through touch. I really like that.
Yeah, no, and also you can do yourself quite a lot of harm with it. I didn't realise I used a gua sha a bit too vigorously over my eyebrows.
Oh, wow.
Anybody listening saying, what's a gua sha? It's like a sort of odd-shaped flat thing that you're supposed to use to kind of massage certain muscles on your face. And I must have pressed too hard because I had the most painful headaches. Yeah. I really overdid it, I think. That's just me all over.
And if you have particularly strong muscles in the forehead, they take time to relax. So when you use it, you can go over the top. But did you know traditionally they were made out of bull's horns?
No, I didn't.
Yeah. I have the Japanese version and it's bull's horns. And you can also I have another one that's bronze, made out of bronze. So you have to be very gentle with that one.
Well, this one was marble, and I do love it. And my son bought it, which means I love it twice as much. Yeah. But, what was he trying to say to me though with that? You're getting wrinkly, Mum. Here's a present. No,
thanks, son.
Yeah, cheers. But no, I've been really looking forward to this. We did speak prior, and you know, you are outside of my norm. I'll be honest. You kind of cross over because you work in the sort of the real world, shall we say. So you support really high functioning humans in optimizing themselves. And I have a particular interest in that. It's something that I suppose when you get to a certain stage of life, and I think you're, well, how old are you, by the way?
55.
Yeah, we're the same age. I don't look at that. I remember now. That's why I put the phone down and went, I've got to try harder.
You really don't, because there's something that people don't realize how they look until someone tells you. And there's something I noticed about you is how beautiful your skin looked. I was like, and I bet she's not wearing any makeup. And when I saw your face, I was like, wow, I'm noticing it. So,
oh, look, let's just sit here and just do a compliment each other moment. I don't really care who's listening, if anyone's listening. Yasmin and I are just having a proper loving.
Yeah.
No, okay, well, thank you for that. And yes, I will still try harder. But I think there's something about getting to a certain age, isn't there, where sort of wisdom starts to come in, and the need or want to kind of help people who you see making not necessarily mistakes, but could probably do with a little bit of support in avoiding certain behaviors. And I know your specialism is kind of like burnout and just generally getting people balanced. And if you are a high achiever, and I put myself in that category back in the day. I shouldn't say back in the day. That's so self-deprecating.
You're very accomplished.
I'm an accomplished woman, Yasmin. Yeah, thank you. I'm going to own it. Maybe I should be a client of yours. You get to a certain point in life where you want to help people. So, I'm very interested in this psychic element, and I hope we're going to talk about that today. Because obviously that's kind of, I think that will be fascinating for everybody.
Yeah.
And I also hope you're going to talk about retreats.
Yeah.
Because I spent some time in India, and everyone talked about Vipassana.
Vipassana, the silent retreat, yeah.
And they were doing it for like 10 days, yes. Silent for 10 days. I can barely manage 10 minutes.
Well, we're Geminis. We have conversations with our minds all the time, don't we? We don't need to speak to someone. We'll have full-on conversations with ourselves.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if there's anyone around or not. So I think, that's normal for me. I can sit in silence for a long time, but actually I'm not silent at all because of the psychic channel. I'm always talking and I'm having a conversation out aloud with myself. I'm very good at that.
Well, listen, we're touching on already who you are and what you're all about. And I want to now invite you in to do that from your side. I say I've made my kind of impression of who you are, and I'm really excited about this. But tell everybody who you are and what you're about, and then let's get back into that because I want to ask you some more questions about that.
Okay, so I'm Yasmin, and I have worked in the corporate environment for many, many years, and it just did not work for me. Particularly, I worked in finance, so very masculine world where I tried to fit into a masculine model that didn't work for me. And the reason it didn't work, because as women, we have amazing ability for 360 thinking. We look at everything. When someone says something to you, we've gone up, down, round and about, and we figured it all out, whilst the man is still on the first point. And it's just because we have different types of thinking to men, and it's needed, right? So I didn't fit into that world. So I took myself out of that world, not really knowing what I wanted to do. And I'm a born psychic medium. And in the 70s, it wasn't really a thing, people would poo-poo it. And I think back, I don't know if you remember this, but do you remember Equality Paper, The Sun? Used to have a psychic, and she used to be there, the mystic with the ball.
Mystic Meg.
Mystic Meg, was that it? And that was as much as it got, right? And if you weren't of that echelon, you're not psychic, right? It's nonsense. I'll just take these glasses off. So, it was poo-pooed. So I shut my channel down. And my mum in particular, who is incredibly intuitive, oh, you don't want to go there. No. You open up a whole can of worms. So I shut it down. And I have been channeling. I've been able to see things and have premonitions since my first memory is age 6. And throughout my life, I've seen these. And because I wasn't supported in it, I also shut it down and didn't believe it. So I didn't have a trust in it. I can talk about sensitive subjects, can I?
Oh, 100%.
Okay, good. In 2010, I tried to unalive myself. That was my 3rd attempt. And I couldn't take the pressure of my childhood trauma and the channel opening and talking to, I just didn't understand what was happening and the support wasn't there. I'd had 20 years of therapy by that point, which just kept me suspended rather than finding the solution. So when that failed, by the grace of God, I'm so glad to be sat here in front of you and doing this work. I thought, well, I'm clearly rubbish at doing that. Why don't I just give life a go? And it was literally that basic. It wasn't like an epiphany or anything.
So was it like, I'm going to carry on in a second, but so I did know that about you in the sort of prep for this call, but was it like the burden of that seeing, that knowing, having that channel and not being able to express it? Was it that caused that desperation in you?
It was that. And also I grew up in a very challenging household. There was all forms of abuse when I was very young. And you'll find actually when you get to know people that have gone through a lot of trauma, they're also very intuitive. But they're also they overcommit, they're over responsible. They like to take lots of responsibilities on, hence why I do this work. And they're also very accomplished because they've had to be, you know? So that forces them to be resourceful, to be agile, to, you know, you are, and as Gemini as well, I will say that most Geminis I know, when I say to them, how do you do this? They know, they're not having to think about it. They instinctively know how to do things, or they'll figure it out very quickly. So I had that on my side, and all of that was just too overwhelming. It's too overwhelming to take on. So the point that actually took me there was a relationship I was in that literally put my self-worth on the floor. And then when I was saved for the third time, and I honestly don't know how because of the amount of pills I took, I just thought, well, clearly I meant to be here for a reason. And I thought, well, let's just give life a go. Let's not be a victim of the past, and let's take ownership, and let's see how different that looks.
Yeah, I can relate, and you know, not necessarily to ever getting to that stage, and I'm very grateful for that, and I'm so grateful that you weren't successful as well. I think a lot of people will be.
Thank you.
But I do understand that notion of, if you've had childhood trauma, this idea that you must, I don't know, it's like a coping mechanism. It's so subconscious and so exhausting, actually, which is this idea of, you know, being helpful, being useful, being good. You know, you can't rely on anybody else, only yourself, all that kind of stuff. And it's so far reaching. I found myself doing it. You know, thank you for complimenting on my skin. It's probably because I've got a suntan. I went on holiday recently with the family, and my sense of taking care was so huge, like taking care of everything. And I'm looking around me. I've got my children are adults now. They're 22 and 23. But I still took care of them as if they were like 6 and 7. And it was like, you know, it was not till afterwards I thought, gosh, why am I so tired after this holiday? And I realised it's because from the booking of it, to the choosing of it, to the seat placement on the plane, to the luggage, every aspect of that holiday. And I know it's a small example, but it's an example. I took care of. Even I didn't want anybody else to drive because we were, you know, wrong side of the car, wrong side of the road, in a sort of strange place. So I did all the driving. And I'm like, I didn't need to do that really. There's perfectly capable people here. But it is just your hard wiring by a certain age. So I'm curious then. So what, you chose life, very good. But you must have then, because I suppose I'm asking, sounds like I'm asking for a friend. No, I'm asking for me, actually, Yasmin. Can you get to a place where some of those learned behaviours and patterns, you know, start to reduce or possibly even go altogether? And if yes, what steps did you take, or what would you normally take?
Well, first of all, I love that you shared that, because most women do what you did on holiday and think nothing of it because it's so hardwired. It's so normal. You've normalized it, right? And so, and I can really empathize with this because my daughter's 28. She's just about to move out and she's never moved out. And in my head, I've organized everything for her. And then I was like, no, step back. And I actually said, what do you need from me? Rather than assuming that I need to be the mother hen and take over everything. So I still have moments where I want to do it, but I pause and think, actually, it's not my place. She may not want me to do that. What would you like from me? And that was far more productive because she's very organized. She just said, can you buy me a Ninja Crispy? I was like, okay, that's all right. I'll do that. What else do you need? And it was so simple. And it was such a relief that I didn't have to worry about that. And so how did I get there? When I chose life, I did not know how to do life. That was the thing. So one of the things that I looked at through some of my trainings and what was reflected back to me is, where did this begin? And it's very hardwired from my mother. My mother was never really seen and heard. She was told what to do. So she was a woman of service. And I won't go into it too much because she's my first person that I would.
Okay, I'm looking forward to that.
So she taught me to be of service and don't expect recognition. So I always did everything for everyone. Oldest daughter as well. You know, if you're an oldest daughter, you will know this. If you're the oldest sibling and you're a woman, this is where it begins.
Yeah.
So I actually had to have a really honest look at my life and say, well, look, what adds energy and joy to my life? Where do I feel energized? Because I was constantly depleted. Like I would sleep. I had chronic fatigue. I would sleep for hours. And I was like, this can't be it. Like, I can see people living a really beautiful life. Why don't I have that? And I really had to ask myself those questions and really call myself out, like honestly call myself out. And somebody helped me do that, who's also one of the 5 people. And so who I thought I was not true. I thought, I'm this great person. I'm a person of service. And people would say, actually, do you know you're quite controlling? Really? You know, you dominate the space. Really? Oh my gosh, I didn't know that was me. Yeah. So I literally had to look at the things in my life and say, does this energize me? Does this make me happy? Or does it actually take away from me? And take away from me meant over giving in areas and that not being reciprocated.
Yeah.
And so that was a whole lesson of communication, releasing the obligations to these people to be felt seen and heard, and then holding up the boundaries. And I was so quiet as a child. Honestly, I was like a mute. Now you can't shut me up. So yes, you can break the patterns if you know where they begin from and why you're obligated to them. Why do you obligate yourself to be that? And more often than not, having done this work for 14 years now, I know it's because we put our parents on a pedestal. We look up to them. And therefore, if we are like them, then that gives us a sense of belonging. And the hardest thing to do is to forge your own path and not be like anybody. But that's also quite scary. And you also might not feel safe to do that. So that was where I had to learn. Actually, I can be me without disowning my heritage or my family, and they'll still love me the same. And I'm nothing like my family, and they still love me the same.
I love that. I mean, honestly, we could get totally into that for this conversation. Forget the 5 people, but I think that would be wrong. I'm hoping to discover more about all of that through your 5. But there's so much there that I would love to unpick. Okay, well, let's do it through the podcast. Mm-hmm. But yes, absolutely fascinating in terms of that relationship between service, being that need to be seen, and that thin line between, what you feel as being helpful and useful, and other people are receiving as, controlling and dominating. And what a kick in the guts that must be for the person that thinks, but I've been working so hard. I've done all these great things. And what you haven't even liked it, or worse, you've really hated it. Yeah. So I imagine that was quite a moment, like a proper sort of defining wake up call. But
I think somebody said to, and I'll talk about him in the 5, but one thing he said to me is, don't do my thinking for me.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, do I do that? And actually, yes, I did.
Oh, good. I can't wait. All right. Well, listen, before we get into the 5, and I'm itching to do that, but I'd like to ask my guests, first of all, how did they find the process? How did you find the process of choosing your 5?
I actually found it very difficult, because listening to some of your previous interviews, there's a lot of inspiration in there. And I found inspiration in some of my darkness, but I needed that harsh mirror. So I was looking for inspiration, and I was like, oh, I'll pick these 5. And I was like, oh, actually, they're quite heavy. So I was like, okay, let's start again. And actually, I parked it until last night. I was like, let's see what 5 come up for me. And it was automatic.
Yeah. I've spoken like a true Gemini, firstly. And I'm glad you did do that, because I think I like the idea of it flowing from people. I do hear now and then that people have agonized and they've done this, and I think, I feel bad that I've sort of created that tension by really insisting on the 5. But also, I don't know, it's sort of, there's something about it letting it sort of come to you. Because it kind of should in some ways. It should just present. But I do realize that everyone approaches this very differently. But I'm pleased to hear that you did take that
It was
approach.
a beautiful mirror, actually.
Yeah.
Because I looked for the challenging points, and I actually thought I got lots of inspiration from other people. So I need to celebrate that. So
all right. Well, come on then. Let's go. All right. So who's number one on your list?
Well, number one is my mum, also a Gemini. So my fiercest mirror. It was growing up a very love-hate relationship, but also very respectful. Let me give you some background on my mum. She had an arranged marriage. She didn't see my dad until the day she got married. So I don't know how she coped with that first and foremost, or even agreed to it. Because when they tried to do that with me, I ran away from home. I was like, I don't want to do that. From breaking tradition. She is an incredible woman when it comes to her capacity of service. Service is everything for her. And she learned that very young because her mum was there's a whole lineage of unhappy women who are forced into situations that don't necessarily nourish them. And so she learned very young that if I have acts of service to my mum, first, it will please her. Second, she will stay off my back and let me get on with it. And also third, she loved being on service because when she did something, her mother would acknowledge her. So that was passed down to me. There was an expectation that I should be of service. And as an oldest child, I was responsible for my youngest siblings, probably from I think my earliest memories, again, of about 6, when mum used to go to work. And in those days, you just left your kids at home and there was some food. And the oldest, who was 6 years old, had to fend for them, right? Now you can't even fathom that. But that's what used to happen in the 70s. And then the neighbours, who we used to call the aunties, used to come in and check in on us. Have you eaten? Lock the door and, that kind of thing. So I didn't realize the extent of my mother's service until she passed in 2022. And people came up to me and said, did you realize she did this or she did that? And one of the funny things is my mum's a very traditional Indian woman that wears what we call a salwar kameez, which is a long shirt and the baggy pants, right? 4'11", fierce as you like, real iron lady. And she used to work at Heathrow in the catering department. And she noticed there was a man in the bush, sleeping in the bush. So out she marches, this little woman, and she says, what are you doing here? And he's like, well, I haven't got anywhere to go. I'm homeless. She went, all right, stay there. She went inside and got him food, then went home and took my dad's old clothes and then gave them to him. And this story came out later. And I was like, now you wouldn't even think of, you'd be like, who's that loitering? I'll give him a wide berth. No fear, straight in. And this has been her. She's just been there for people. And something that I learned with her as well is when someone's in trouble, don't say, I'm here if you need me, or what can I do to help? Yeah. She said, go and make them some food, because the one thing they're probably not doing is eating. Yeah. Make them food until they tell you to go away. And that's what she did. And actually, when she passed, that's what I needed, because I wasn't looking after myself. Yeah. And it was an ex-boyfriend that said, have you eaten? Can I come round with a takeaway? Do you need a hug? Let me give you a hug. Who's looking after you? And at that point, no one was. And I remember I have a group of friends, 3 friends. We call them ourselves the 4 of us, because, it's just the 4 of us. And so I remember putting a message in there saying, it's all well and good you saying prayers, but I need you in person. I need you here. No one knows what I'm going through. And immediately the phone started ringing. What do you need? And I'm like, show up. I need you. Prayers are beautiful, but I need you. Yeah. And so it turns out that I've always been the strong one, because I've taken care of everything. So people didn't recognize I needed help. Yeah, until I asked. And so this again is learned behavior from my mum. So she taught me service. And this is everything that I do in my work. And yes, I charge for my work, but behind the scenes, I also do a lot of work for people who have life-threatening diseases, one-on-one work, because I did this for myself and sailed through cancer, believe it or not. So I give back. So she instilled in me that service is really important. Give service without the expectation of reciprocation. And that was hard for me to learn.
I mean, okay, so much to talk about there. I love it. What's her name?
Seema.
Her name was Seema.
Yeah.
Okay. First of all, I just want to summarize a couple of thoughts that came to my mind, but then I want to come back to this idea of without reciprocation, because I'm fascinated by that, because that comes back to this whole scene thing again, doesn't it? And, you know, I wonder how much of you and how much of her, okay, she might have said the words without reciprocation, and you might have imbued that and gone, I must do this without reciprocation. But I wonder how real that is. And actually, were you sitting there at the end of the day going, I've had nothing. Nothing. I've done all 20 things today. What's come back to me? And the reason I can tune into that, because honestly, we're so similar, Yasmin. First of all, my I didn't know my mother, but my grandmother was 4-foot-ish as well.
Oh, really?
Born and raised in India, so she may as well have been.
Oh, wow.
And she's exactly that same character as Seema, although wasn't an arranged marriage, but it was kind of, back in those days, you just got introduced to someone and you were married fairly quick, right?
Yeah.
But she was very much into, she worked at, do you know JJ Hospital in Mumbai? Would you know it?
I do.
Have you spent much time in India?
Not at all, because my mum's from Punjab, but I was born in Tanzania, so I've spent very little time there.
I realised when I said that, do you know JJ Hospital? It's a bit like saying, oh, do you, when you go to these countries, they go, well, do you know so-and-so? It's like, no, it's a big country. So no, apologies. But no, there's a famous hospital in Mumbai called JJ Hospital. My little 4'11" grandma, she used to run it. She was one of the big ward sisters there, quite a badass. And she's similar to your mum. The famous story I know of her is when they were, when the war broke out, she was hiding people in her house.
Oh, I love that.
And then the soldiers would come along and go, have you got anyone here? No. She's like, and you're not coming in. Anyway, so I can relate to Seema in terms of her character. I wonder, though, back to this idea of service without reciprocation. I'm just fascinated by that. How do you get to a place where you get pure joy from it? Pure joy, and only do it for the love of it. I mean, I on a good day when I'm healthy and I'm not tired and I'm not a bit overwhelmed with usually wider things, not usually my immediate family, but like what's going on in the world, I get a bit off. On a really good day, I give freely all my time, my love, my knowledge, my wisdom, and I go to bed and go, that was a good day. Even if I had no reciprocation whatsoever, not even acknowledgement, I can live with that because of the pleasure of giving it. But quite honestly, those days are quite rare. Mostly I'm sitting there at the end of the day going, why have I given out so much energy to everybody else? And I am sitting here knackered. And people have said thank you, but I don't know if they've said it in the way that really appreciates quite what I've put in today. And then I get in a whole tailspin of, well, then why did you do it in the first place? And why have you even, put yourself through that? And where are your boundaries? Everyone talks about boundaries, don't they? And I would love to know if there is it possible to get to a place where you give wholeheartedly, freely of everything that you are and genuinely are at peace with that, and whether come what may?
Such a good question. And you've hit on the answer within it, actually. So my mother would give willy-nilly, not necessarily in the right places because of family obligations. And maybe those obligations ran into other areas such as work as well. So she over-obligated. She was never seen at work, but she was always the one that did the most. And so, and this is the whole thing about being more in line with who we are as women and honoring who we are as women, rather than chasing. And chasing acknowledgement is actually very masculine energy. Men like to be acknowledged, and whilst we have an aspect of that within us, we can just be and our female counterparts will acknowledge us. And let me explain. So mum would give a lot of service, attention to family members that were very dominant through obligation. And so I then became obligated. And then when I looked at that after 2010, and I looked at, why am I obligated to do this? Why do I feel I have to do this? Because actually I don't have to do anything I don't want to. But by this time I was 40 years old, and for 40 years I'd done it through an obligation. Yeah. So I questioned my obligations. Again, thinking, well, does this actually fill me with joy? No, it doesn't. How am I going to learn to say no to this person? So I read a book way back called Nonviolent Communication. It's a terrible title because we're not fisticuffs. We're not happy inside us, right? So, and what that taught me was loving communication and how to say no. And don't get me wrong, at first I felt really guilty saying no. Oh God, I should have said yes. And I used to have to sit on my hands and say, like, no, say no, say no, say no. And then became a habit. You can wholly give service to people, places, things, if it's in alignment with you and it doesn't deplete you. So I won't give, and you've answered your question. You said, when I'm energized and I'm happy and I'm balanced, I give freely. And so that's the secret.
Do it then.
Yeah, do it then. It's like, so if you imagine a saucer with a teacup on it, everyone says, fill up your cup, fill your cup up. It's not really about filling up your cup. It's about giving when you overflow into the saucer.
I love that.
And that's it. That is it. So if you keep that mental image.
I am so going to do that. Yeah. I get it completely, because then it feels good.
It feels good. You're not giving from an empty place. You're not depleted. You're energized. And you're like, yeah, take it. Yeah, thank you. But equally, just don't make decisions to give when you're either very high or very low. Just wait until you're somewhere in the middle and you feel balanced. And then go, is this good for me to do right now? For me. And when you feel like you're overflowing, you don't get into the what about me, which is where my mum was. What about me? No one cares about me. You know? And then when you give something to her, she's like, no, don't do that.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, you want help or no, you know? Yeah. So I learned very, very quickly to only give what sits in the saucer. And then I didn't hit depletion. But there was still, don't get me wrong, there was times when I still did that cycle, because I loved what I did and I did so much of it. And then I was like, hang on a second, I need a boundary here. I need to pull back. So, doing this work, as my sister says to me, you're a good person to know because you're resourceful. Your psychic channel does insights that people are really intrigued in. That's why I don't tell people what I do when I go to parties, because they'll be like, read me. And I'm like, I'm not here. I'm not the entertainment, right?
Yeah.
And so I learned really loving communication. Thank you so much for asking me. I really appreciate that you reached out to me, but right now I'm so depleted. Maybe another time.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I've never done that.
Yeah, it's brilliant. So people don't feel offended when you say no. Do you know, I'd really like to come. So in June, which is our birthday month, I actually declined 80% of invitations. And I just said, I love that you asked me. Thank you so much. But I'm really tired at the moment. I just need to go home and sleep. Is that all right? And they'll be like, yeah, of course. They don't want a tired version of you there. So the loving communication, and even with my partner, with my daughter, if she needed something, I'll be like, darling, I need an hour just for myself. Can I come back to you in an hour? And because I've managed her expectation, she was always fine about it. It never needed to be now. And that's a really helpful thing for them growing up. So they don't expect everything to be done like now.
Yeah.
There's time, and be patient, and it's coming, it's coming. I've told you it's coming. So, and because I do the work I do, one of the things that I get asked a lot is, can we meet for a coffee? I'd love to talk about what you do. Basically what they're saying, I want to pick your brain.
Yeah.
And at the beginning I was like, yeah, of course you can. And then I realized I got no work done. I was meeting all these people for coffee. And I just said, and now I just say, I appreciate your local, thank you for reaching out. I'll be speaking here if you'd like to join. And maybe I can talk to you then. My diary's quite full, but thank you so much. I really appreciate you taking interest.
I love that. Do you know what? There's so many, that saucer cup thing.
Yeah, brilliant.
Only give what's in your
in the
saucer.
And until it's And if it's not overflowing, then mind your business.
Yeah, honestly, that's fabulous. And talking with love language, if you like, when you're saying no.
Yeah.
I think because you know yourself, when you receive a no and it's not well delivered, it hits you quite badly, doesn't it? But if someone said, "I'm sorry, but I'm tired, but I'm really glad that you've asked me," you'd be all like, "Oh, that feels like, I don't know, so different." I love it.
It's a no with a hug, isn't it?
It's a no with a hug. No with a hug and a saucer and a cup. I've got two. I'm literally drawing pictures here. That's fabulous, Yasmin, and I can see why you're so well sought after. And I was going to boast for you earlier because I thought you might, but you didn't. I mean, you've appeared in all kinds of big magazines and newspapers, haven't you? You're like proper and everything.
And yet I just see that as nothing.
Yeah.
I think because I used to chase accolade. I used to chase being the one that people would
awards and got
exactly.
And
I don't. I realized actually the title of this podcast is it people are everything. Your greatest teacher are the people that you see every day.
Yeah.
My greatest teachers are my clients, not the fact that I've been in Cosmopolitan. That doesn't mean anything. When a client gives me that, they're always giving me insights, they're always helping me grow. Meanwhile, they're getting a transformation from me. Yeah. The reciprocation energy is so good. And my work is so reciprocal that so many of my clients are dear friends.
Yeah.
So I don't really, they're great. They're nice things, but it doesn't actually mean anything. No, it just shows credibility from the outside world, because psychic is an intangible thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
So you need some credibility somewhere.
I think that the creds definitely came after we met. Yeah. So I didn't think about that when I was when we first met, because we met at I was on a panel talk, wasn't I? And I think I must have said some things you liked.
You stood out for me. I love that you allowed yourself to express yourself without cutting yourself off. I love that. I love that. You kind of allowed your answers to go on a journey rather than be constructed. And I'm a fan of that.
Oh, good. What you really mean is I went on a bit.
But I like that. No, you don't feel like you need to cut yourself off because you have things to say which are important.
Oh, bless you. Well, and I know meeting you, I really connected with you immediately. And to your point about people are everything, my interest in you didn't start with, oh, she's been in Cosmo, she's been in this. I noticed that way later when I was just, prepping for today. And I love that you don't lead with it. I love it. I think that shows such a centeredness and kind of, I'm Yasmin. Like me, don't like me, doesn't matter. You know what I mean? Doesn't. So anyway, I just wanted to say that.
I think there's a friend of mine who has a program called Get Paid to Be You. And I think that's what I do. I get paid to be me.
Yeah. Well, and that's where all the magic happens, isn't it? When you're all in your flow, as they like to say.
Absolutely.
Oh, well, listen, we need to carry on because otherwise this is going to be a 3-hour podcast, which I would love, but I'll probably get told off by somebody. No, you're Seema, bless her, love who she was, and can totally picture her actually. So that was a fabulous start. So who's number 2, please, Yasmin?
Number 2 is a lady called Mel, who was a friend of mine ages ago. And I met her in a particularly awkward place of my life where people don't know this about me, but I'm quite awkward. I used to be the wallflower. I say inappropriate things at the wrong time and think, where did that come from? But my mouth moves faster than my brain sometimes. And so I have to think about what's coming out. And something I learned from her, which I was never very good at, being the quiet one and the wallflower, was that when she had conversations with new people, not just the people that she knew, when she was introduced to me, she sat with me and she was wholly present and interested. She didn't talk at me. She asked me about me. And I think that is becoming something that's missing at the moment, because we talk to people so that they ask us so we can take up space. So we can talk about us, right? She was so interested and she gave me the time. And then when I saw that friendship develop with other people, even my daughter, if we'd be at a party and everyone's having fun, she didn't have any, fear of missing out. She was just with my daughter for a whole, I think, 45 minutes, focused on her without interruption. And other people were like, no, come over here. She's like, no, I just need to focus here. And I noticed that about her. And I noticed how that making them the center of the conversation made them feel so important. And my daughter at the time was probably 10 in a grown-up party, no other children. So she really made her feel seen. And she did that all along. We went to a wedding in New Zealand and she wasn't with the cool crowd. She was with the grandmother of the bride sitting there having a good old chat about what's it like living here and, just getting really deep with her. And I really appreciated that you don't always need to be in where the fun's happening, but you can engage differently with other people. And sometimes that's where the gold is, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when you say, and she's still in your life now, or?
She's not actually. No, she was in a group of friends of my ex-husband. And when it was quite a big separation, which was also part of what happened in 2010. It was like my whole identity had been stripped away. And she was part of a large group of friends who didn't want a side. So they all removed themselves. So I lost friendships when you need people the most. So I had to start from the ground up again. But I really appreciate that in her ability to really see people and be present and not want to share anything about herself necessarily, but really engage with them about them. And I love that.
Yeah. Can we get into that a bit?
Yeah.
We're going to do that with every one of them. Because so here's how I feel about what you just said. First of all, I do value that too. I think when someone really takes an interest in you, I mean, they talk about that being the essence of charisma, don't they? They say charisma is someone who locks in, asks you good questions, takes an interest, etc.
Yeah.
And I do aspire. I genuinely do find people the most interesting thing in my day. And I know when I walk about the world, I am engaging with people and I'm asking them things and they're saying things back to me. And I remember things. I'm good with names. I'm good with details.
Yeah.
However, yeah, it's almost like a button. Forget all that. This is what's the real deal. There's a side of me that doesn't really, like, I'm not comfortable if someone asks me lots of questions, for example. I have a little part of me that kind of sees that as an avoidance.
Do you like to remain slightly anonymous?
No, I like, it's almost the opposite. It's like if somebody asks me like 4 or 5 questions and I don't know anything about them, I'm really uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Because I just think like, why are you asking me all these questions? Why? I need to know you.
Yeah.
And I also need to share a bit of myself so that you reciprocate by sharing a bit of yourself. And I've reflected on the format of this podcast we've just finished 2 seasons and I've gone back and I've been doing like best ofs and all that malarkey. And occasionally I go, all you did there was reflect back what they said and then you said something about your life. But in my mind, and I truly believe this, I'm revealing a bit of myself because I want to learn something about the other person. And I see it as a little bit of a tennis match. So when I meet somebody who just off the bat, excuse the pun, asks me 5 questions in a row, say, I'm like, I just sort of, I find myself like wondering why won't they share anything about them? I want to know about them. So of course, and then it forces me to ask them questions, and I guess that's where the sort of the tennis match begins. But I know that the right balance is, and actually the key thing you were saying anyway was this idea of presence. And I do think I would get a gold star on that. I think a gold star in presence, definitely. Have I got the balance right and the mix right? Maybe sometimes, maybe not. But I know what you mean when you meet somebody who really does it like Mel, who really just locks in, whether it's a 10-year-old or a 100-year-old, and makes that person their priority in that moment. It must, it does feel good.
So important. The one of the 5 I'm going to talk about, this is something that he said once to me. He said, I normally ask people how they are, but really, I'm just waiting for them to ask me how I am so I can talk about myself. His awareness was so obvious. I'm like, I can't believe you've actually just said that out loud. And he said, no, I'm self-obsessed. I know what I want. and actually, if we're honest with ourselves, we do want to share about ourselves, and the balance is key. And I think that the thing with Mel is she wasn't distracted. She wasn't pulled away thinking, I need to be elsewhere because other people are having fun. Her presence in that conversation, she's honored that space for that time, whether it's 5 minutes, 10 minutes, or a minute, it doesn't matter. I'm present. I'm not waiting to go somewhere. Yeah. And I think that's the thing that I really honored about her. And I saw the gravitas that I had with people with her. Like, she made friendships really easily. Relationships were very easy. And it's one of your Gemini traits, observation. Do you like to watch people?
Oh, fabulous. My favorite thing to do, people watching. I find human beings, genuinely, I find humans so fascinating. Absolutely.
Yeah, me too. So I've done a lot of research on human behavior and body language and things like that. And the thing that I noticed with her is that she'd be face on with the person that she's talking to and not kind of looking for a way out. And this is what I learned in body language, a little tip when you're with people. If their feet face you, they're invested. If they've got one foot out, they're looking for a way out.
Exit, looking for the way out. Yeah. Or they're looking over your shoulder while you're talking.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And historically, I was because of the trauma I'd gone through, I would always look around me while I was talking to someone. And again, it was a friend who said to me, are you listening? And I said, I'm so sorry. And they're like, what are you looking at? I said, I don't know. I'm looking.
Well, you're probably hypervigilant. Yeah, exactly. You're hypervigilant. I think a lot of people who've been through trauma, and we both have been, people who haven't, they don't understand how we do scan all the time. I think that's why we get so tired, Yasmin. I didn't mention that earlier, but I think it's that hypervigilance, that constant awareness, that constant checking in on the energy, on the room, of the people in the room, the activity, the movement. I am like, I don't know, what this thing for prey animal that just goes, there's something. Yeah. Oh, sorry, anybody listening will go, what did she just do? I did that.
You're right.
Are you just constantly checking and being ready? So I think that can't feel that great for the person in front of you. But I would like to say gold star on attention, but maybe could do better with questioning. Yeah. But I totally get your point with sharing that about Mel, and I'm glad that she's shown you something, even if she's in your life still, because this is again the purpose of this podcast is to honor the people that influence you. And it sounds like she's had a huge influence on you.
Yeah, I was very awkward, and I learned a lot just by watching her, just with her presence.
Yeah,
I noticed a lot, and I was like, oh, I could implement that. And I noticed how people react, and I'd really like that. So maybe I need to change. So she was a valuable lesson in my journey.
I love that, and I love your constant desire for change and learning, development. I think that's brilliant. All right, well, I'm only going to rush you on to number 3 because I'm really hoping it's that person you just mentioned.
The next one after that.
Yeah.
Number 3 is a teacher, actually. Her name's Anna Kitney, and she was who I learnt a modality called Theta. Now, I don't practice it, but there is a saying, isn't there? When the student is ready, the teacher appears. That was my teacher. And that was crucial in me getting clarity, getting very succinct with using my psychic channel. So I admired her so much. Beautiful, glamorous woman. She was like, you don't have to be a hippie to be psychic or spiritual. You can be you can look like this, Yeah. And I was like, oh, well, that's new. All the ones I know look like hippies, And it was almost like that doesn't fit with I'm nowhere near glamorous as her. She's very well put together. And so, but she was that. She carried authority, knowing, certainty, and you could ask her anything. And she would either have an answer to it, or she would say, I actually don't know the answer to that, but let me park it and I'll come back to you. And there was no shame in that. You know, I didn't think that this teacher that I'd found had to know everything. She gave me permission to not know everything. But she's very practiced. She was very, very practiced, and she wasn't a facade. And I think that's what really resonated with me. And she was my first example of having conviction in the work that you do, even when the world around you sees it as a bit fluffy.
I love that.
So, yeah, I loved that about her. She demonstrated that very well to me.
Can you say her name again? Anna Kitney.
Anna Kitney, Kitney.
Anna Kitney.
So
she's still practicing?
She's practicing, but not in theta. She now does leadership from an energetic stance. Still looks absolutely glamorous. Has moved over to Dubai now. Please do look her up, because she, you know, she really speaks on the programs, the beliefs that hold people back. And that's the only thing that I don't necessarily do. I like to talk about patterns rather than where you're limited. Her modality taught where you're limited. And I'm like, well, you're actually not. You just need to dial up what you've already got, and you'll actually realize you're not limited. So I come from a slightly different stance, but we both get to the same destination in our own way. But I loved her certainty, authority, how she held space, more importantly, for allowing people to show actually very raw and in a vulnerable space, things that they'd never spoken out aloud. And when I noticed that through the teachings, I said, that's what I want. I want to create a level of safety that allows someone to speak on anything that they've never spoken out aloud. And thankfully, I can do that. And the questioning I have, because it's quite direct, but from a loving perspective, people feel safe to do that. So I learned a lot around feeling safe, using your voice, and really believing in the work that you do. Because normally when I tell people I'm a psychic, they're like, yeah, all right, let's talk about it. They're either very interested or they're dismissive. Until I can tell them something about themselves that is fundamentally important to them. And then they're bought in, and they don't really care about the psychic. They care about, well, how do I practically turn this around? So I have a lot of practical around the energy work. And she demonstrated a lot of that, which I then took and evolved into the way that I work. So loved that. And I think in the spiritual world right now, there's a lot of falsity with the glamorous look, but without the depth. And she met both beautifully for me. Yeah.
And so theta?
Yeah.
Theta. THETA?
Yeah. So that's a brain state. So you've got alpha, gamma, theta at the variety. And the theta is the state that you get into just before you sleep. And I don't know about you, but just before I sleep, my brain starts coming up with these amazing ideas when I'm trying to sleep.
Yeah.
That's theta. That's creativity, imagination. That's the state when you're kind of in receivership of things. It's also the same state you're in when you're in deep meditation. So you get into a space of wisdom, things that open up for you. So the modality practices having that state as your everyday resonance in order to be able to get into receivership of wisdom. You know, sometimes, to give you an example, have you ever sat at a traffic light or been in the shower and you're not really thinking about anything, and this download comes in and you're like, oh, wow, that's interesting.
I've thought of that before, yeah.
Yeah. And in that moment, it's a moment of nothingness, isn't it? You're not really thinking. You're just on automatically just doing. It's a pause, perhaps. As a yoga teacher said to me once before, it's not the in-breath or the out-breath, it's the pause in between. It's the bit when you're doing nothing. That's where it comes in. And so that's pretty much it. You get yourself in a theta brainwave that regulates your mind, body, and soul, your energy, where everything feels like it's flowing. That's what it is. Coherence, basically.
I love that. I get most of my... You say back... I mean, just before I go to sleep, yes, that I can be irritating like that. Because I go, what about this? What about that? Excuse me, which isn't always useful for sleeping. But my best thoughts actually come in that early waking state. When I come... when I wake up, I have so much clarity. So can it happen at other ends of the day? How good.
Yeah, it's different for everybody. It's normally when your mind and body feels the most relaxed. And morning is really good. That's the time I would normally say to people, set an intention for the day or journal, or if there's, if you want something to resolve itself, just focus your attention on the resolution rather than what's not going well, because that space in the morning is super powerful.
I need to get a pen and paper on the bedside.
Yeah.
No, and I read somewhere recently that, all of us should not look at any of our devices for at least an hour.
Yeah.
And I think it's partly to do with that. It's like you don't want to waste that precious first waking moments just reaching to see what's on Instagram, So I like the sound of it. I'm going to look into that a bit more. So theta, Theta.
It's very interesting. But the one thing to be very aware of, the theta brainwave, the whole thing around that is amazing. The modality itself really does focus on what's stopping you. And I realized after spending tens of thousands of pounds doing the courses that actually nothing is stopping you. I don't believe in blocks. I don't believe in limiting beliefs. I believe that you haven't taken ownership of what is natural and innate to you. That's what I believe. And then when I started doing that, what I know to be true about myself, get an inner sense of knowing about who you are rather than who you need to be for other people to feel safe around you, you will have a completely different experience. So that was part of when you asked me the questions earlier about does it ever get to that stage? It does if you honor who you are already and not shape that to fit someone else's reality.
No, I love that, Yasmin. I think this idea of you're saying ownership of, who you are and what you're meant to be and what you're meant to do. I think it starts with just paying attention and noticing. Because you can't take ownership of it until you've actually noticed, where. And I think that's something that's come to me fairly late. Well, someone said to me once, a long time ago, where are you most happy? And I was running a really big company at the time. And, but I was also in a band, right?
Were you?
Yeah.
Wow.
So I sort of blended the two now and then in my career. But I realize where I'm most happy is actually behind a microphone. So maybe this podcasting thingy is where I'm supposed to be, because actually I really enjoy, back then it was as a singer, but now I'm behind this microphone. But there's something about communication in that for me. So whether I'm communicating to an audience or communicating to you now, or the people listening. So I do feel most at peace when I'm doing this. Of all
and
things that I do.
You do it so naturally as well, and your questions are really good as well, which doesn't always happen on podcasts.
Oh well, thank you for saying that. And I honestly, I didn't say that to seek that confirmation. It's more just paying attention now. I'm paying attention much more these days about where I feel at my best for all of it, whether it's physical, emotional. I'm making different choices about all kinds of things. And to your point you made earlier about it feeling awkward at first, back to your boundary setting or love language, it's a bit cronky at first, isn't it? It's a bit, this feels awkward. But, ultimately, what would you rather have? Like you said, someone turning up who doesn't really want to be there, who hasn't got the energy for it or for whatever reasons, but is there out of obligation, or somebody who's wholeheartedly coming because they're absolutely in the right space. So I think that I like what you said about taking ownership of who you are and sort of, I don't know, living in it, I suppose.
I think it's brilliant though. We're very good at dismissing who we are.
Yeah, like back to that service thing again, isn't it?
Yeah, and also I think giving compliments freely, we need to do more of that. We need to do more of that, because I see beauty and beautiful things in so many things and people, and I want to tell them, because I'm like, how many times has someone told you this thing? Yeah. How many times? Probably hardly ever. So I'm like, I noticed it and I want to tell you because I find it inspiring and I'd like to do that. So when I say you do it very well, because I have a psychic channel that talks a lot in the background, and then I try and speak. I often will say things and I have to stop and say, sorry, that was not a sentence. I need to rewind and come back again, because sometimes I can't talk fast enough for what's incoming. So I really admire someone. And the thing that I admire about you is the pace at which you speak. It's assured and it's paced and it's not hurried, which makes me automatically think it's very considered. You're thinking about what I'm saying. And I like that. And that's a lesson for me to slow down, because I'm very fast-paced energy. So when I see that, I like to acknowledge it, because I probably need it.
Oh, bless you. But I tell you what, no one's ever said that to me before. And I've been around the same years as you, a good old 55. But maybe there was a bit of me that needed it, because, you put yourself out there with these things, don't you? I mean, I'm very comfortable with all of this, but of course I'm just a human being, and I wonder, and people do tell me nice things about it, but not necessarily that specific. And I love specific compliments. I love specific specificity is my new word.
I love it.
Yeah, because it says, back to the whole scene bit, it's like, and noticing, you used the word just then of noticing. It's like, I don't think you can pay anyone a better compliment by noticing something specific, and taking the trouble and the risk in saying it. Because I think the reason why people don't compliment each other enough is they feel there's risk in there.
Interesting.
And I don't feel that way about complimenting people. I just go, oh, I like your thing. I like what you did there, or I like your clothes, or I like your, why not? Because what's the worst that can happen? They can go, whoa, who are you? Yeah. Well, I don't need your compliments. Yeah. Really? How many people are going to... Hands up who doesn't like a compliment? Very few people. Yeah. So thank you for being specific. I love that.
I notice in you probably what I need, and is admiration, because I'm like, oh, okay, and inspiration. I need to slow down. I actually thought about, there's a new app that teaches you to use your vocabulary properly and pace yourself.
Really?
Yeah. So we only have on average 500 words of vocabulary that we reuse all the time. And so this allows you to flex that, open that up, and also to speak slower. I'm very aware I speak quickly.
Well, okay, while we're in the subject of complimenting each other, I'm listening to your energy and I can't stop smiling at you, I'll be honest. And that's not always how it is for me.
Oh, good. Thank
you. So, but you have that thing that makes me want to smile back at you. And in fact, when I think back to the first few minutes of this podcast, I realize I'm smiling back at you even when you're saying some quite sort of terrible experiences. But it's like, I still feeling your energy of, yes, this happened, but I can talk about it now in a way that's engaging, as opposed to making anybody feel uncomfortable. And there's nothing wrong with making people feel uncomfortable, but you have that energy that's kind of, I just feel like I'm smiling back at you the whole time.
Good.
Which is there we go, free compliments all round.
I love this.
Oh, let's go. Right, okay, well, come on, let's do number 4. We've had Anna.
Number 4 is very interesting. So this is a chap called Nick, who I dated, who was my fiercest mirror. He openly shares this, so I'm sure I can say this about him. You won't mind. He's a recovering alcoholic of almost 30 years, and very charismatic, can suck anybody in, and equally just say, see you later. So I remember saying to him when I was seeing him, you're 50% the ideal man, and 50% I just want to tell you to get out of my life. Actually, there's the polite words I used. And because there was a lot of love bombing, so he saw parts of me I didn't see myself. So this is the value in someone seeing you and feeling you and acknowledging you. He did that in many, many ways. But when I started to grow as a person, it became a threat. And so then he decided to dismiss that. So it's a very split personality, but he's also very aware of the person that he is. So he doesn't try and hide it. He's like, this is who I am, right? You fit or you don't. And he showed me a lot of things around what I thought I was and what I actually was. So this goes back to where we started at the beginning. I thought I was being caring and loving and I've got everything sorted. And he was like, well, I don't want you to do that. What are you doing that for?
Yeah.
And so there was this thing around, am I giving people actually what they want? Or am I doing it to make myself feel better? Yeah. And the whole bossy thing was I would suggest something and then organize everything without consultation of anybody. I've got this. I've done it all. You just show up. It's all done.
No.
And they'd be like, well, I'm not really sure I wanted to do that. And actually, I wanted to participate. And I had never considered that people would want to join me in a collaboration rather than taking out space. I just thought I had to do it because I'd never had anyone help me, right?
Yeah.
So he was very good at showing up the mirrors. And he said, you've also got a lot of pride. And I said, what do you mean? Like, you think very highly of yourself. And I was like, well, no one else is doing it. I think I need to do it for myself. And then he would often show how that would come across as the know-it-all. So rather always offering advice, offering a suggestion, rather than sitting back and listening. So who I thought I was changed radically when I met him. Because he was like, you're not actually who you think you are. You do realize that, don't you? And part of that was constructive and part of that was dismissive. And my job was to recognize what it was, which part of the coin that was. But I had some very challenging times with him. But now I give thanks to someone who was that fierce mirror because actually I needed calling out.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you know do you know Mel Robbins?
Yes. That's right.
Yeah. So Mel Robbins, I read her books many years ago, and something I learned from her is to say it as it is. And so he said it as it was. And I say that with my clients when they're like, well, this has happened and that's happened. And, I'm like this because of that. And I go, so what? So what? Everyone's got trauma. Let's talk about how we can help you to take ownership of what you'd like to happen. Let's move you forward.
Yeah.
And so I'm known for my directness. And that came from there. It was like, sometimes you have to call people out. I had a client on Saturday and she said, I have this thing called 4 levels of consciousness. And it basically shows you where you're operating from, whether you're the victim, whether you believe you're the driver of the energy and you have to do everything, whether you believe you can co-create, manifest with energy or not, and whether you believe everything is already yours. And I said to her, so you did the quiz, where were you? And she said, well, I was one of, I'm almost at the collaboration space. And I said, well, let's not fluff it up. Let's be honest. You're at the stage where you believe you need to do it all. And she said, yeah, but I don't want to admit it. And I said, so what does that bring up? And it was like failure, or maybe I'm not doing my best. And I said, it's actually really fine, but we can't lie to ourselves. So he taught me not to lie to myself. And he also brought up the things he really noticed about me that were positive and the things that actually I was delusional about for myself.
Isn't that fascinating? Honestly, well, first of all, I can't work out yet because I'm still reeling whether I should love Nick or punch him in the face. But I think, and I imagine on the receiving end of his directness, it was a challenge to know which one. I don't advocate punching people, by the way. Just saying, it's a metaphor.
That's how you feel sometimes, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's like, because that confrontingness, someone actually holding a mirror up to you and making you confront yourself. Oh my gosh, we everybody does it.
Yeah,
everybody will do anything to protect themselves from actually having to look in the mirror, and myself included. And I'm pretty good at holding my own gaze and going, really?
Yeah.
Why did you think that? Why did you do that? Really? Like push myself to a place of honesty. And those examples you gave, if I go back to the holiday again, like my daughter, who's my greatest mirror, she says to me, you didn't even ask me what I wanted out this holiday. You went and just booked it. You thought a family holiday should look like this, and you just went and booked it. And then you said, I've done it. This is what we're doing. This is where we're going. And of course, I feel a sense of pride because I'm like, look at me. I'm so capable. I can book holidays and I get the right flights and I'm a woman of the world and I know what I'm doing. But of course, she's like, I don't even want to go there. And I'm like, oh, And I had to admit to myself that she was right.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I should have slowed down.
Yeah.
And taken the trouble to ask people what they actually want. So I'm with you on that, and I think if Nick and I ever met, he'd probably be quite harsh on me.
He's very interesting because he's very interested. He'll sit and listen and ask you the questions, and he'll slightly love bomb you, even in a friendship way. You know, you're like, wow, I really feel seen by this person.
Yeah, but then he goes, and then by the way,
yeah. Or he'll get to know you a little bit later, and he'll be like, no, you're not that great. Here's the truth. And actually, I believe that enough of us don't do that, but in a loving way.
I honestly, I've learned so much from this podcast, and I honestly think that is an activity we should all do, is be more honest with ourselves, because no one else is listening. We can do it in our own heads. Do you know what I mean? We can just go, yeah, when you did that thing, you didn't really do it for the right reasons. Yeah. You did it for you. Yeah. Just own it. And then maybe that will help with the not seeking things back. Because you can say, yeah, you did that to show off, or you did that to flex, or you did that because, or you did that, but let's be kinder on ourselves and say you did that because it's your programming, it's your conditioning. Like you said, if no one's going to do it for me, I'm going to do it for myself. Yeah. And I am definitely that person. Gosh.
Well, the awareness of how it shifts is he did that for me. And recently, when it was my birthday, I was going through a bit of a tough time with something. And in the 4 of us group, my friends, I decided to say I want someone to make a fuss of me on my birthday because I wasn't going through a great time. But instead of asking for that, they would reciprocate that beautifully. I got a bit dramatic and told them what they should be doing rather than what they shouldn't. And immediately I stopped and I said, I'm really sorry. I'm having a tough time and I'm actually having a tantrum. I love you dearly and whatever you do, I know will be perfect. But I just need to call myself out on the fact that I'm having a tantrum and I don't know where to have it.
Yeah, you're my safe place to do it.
Yeah, exactly. And they were like, don't worry, it'll be beautiful. And I had a fantastic birthday. But I was like, I literally called them out. And actually, I realised it's me. Well, it was straight away. And of course, they know me well and just laugh and go, they're there.
Oh, gosh, Yasmin, we must have been separated at birth. I have sent, and I still have it on my phone, a voice note I sent to my two girls, my two best girlfriends. And we both turned 50, you and I, in the COVID year, right? 2020.
Yeah, we did.
And I had so many plans for that year.
Yeah.
Were all cancelled, of course. And there were people with much bigger problems that year than my birthday plans. So I'm not getting my my little violin out. But of course, at some level, we are all human and we all want to have our 50th year acknowledged.
Yeah.
And I was really looking to my girls to make it better for me. And I wasn't having a good time either in that particular month. And I actually have a voice note where talk about vulnerability. 10 out of 10 for vulnerability, 11 out of 10 for self-absorption coming up right now. So 10 out of 10 for vulnerability was, it's my birthday in 3 days and I don't know if you guys have organised anything, planned anything, and I really need you right now. I need you to be stepping up for me. And oh my God, it went on and on. And I've never sent anything like that before or since. And obviously I must have felt in a very low place and really was reaching out. But actually, I look back now and I think not tantruming, but certainly sulking.
Yeah.
It was a very small Julia moment. It was a very childlike moment of me just going, not fair. I can't have my parties. I can't do my things. My life isn't where I want it to be. What are you going to do to make it better? And I'm like, I still keep it because it's a reminder just not to do that. But like you said, my girls just stepped up and went, come on. Don't be silly.
Because you're accomplished and you're capable and you take care of everything, at times you get into that. You don't want it back.
Just a little bit.
Yeah. And people forget how capable and strong you are. But I find that, and perhaps you can shed some light on this, when we need help, we really need help.
Yeah,
Right.
it's
When
rare.
we crash, we really crash, right?
Yeah, I say that to my partner now. I say, if I've asked you for something, it's taken me a lot.
It's a lot, yeah.
Even if it's to pick me up from the station.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not the jumps I would have gone through in my head to get ready to ask that question.
Yeah.
And also, because I've gone through all those jumps, it usually comes out really badly.
Yeah.
Because it's so unnatural. It's like, are you going to get me from the station? And she's like, not if you ask me like that, no. But it's not that I'm rude. It's just that I've just built up to it. I'm just like, here it comes.
Oh my God.
And then I just say,
it's like me, but I have no build up. It just falls out.
the build up was in my mind, but the delivery was all me. Yeah. Okay. Well, Nick, you could be good for the world, for all of us, actually. And certainly this idea of being more honest about what really drives what we do and what we say and how we are.
I think we need people in the world that prod us to wake us up. And that's Nick.
I've got my dear, back to my girls, one of my dear friends, Jo, if I know I'm not quite, I know who to ring, who's going to agree with me. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's not her.
Yeah.
So I ring Jo when I want the truth.
Yeah.
When I want to know really what's happening. And I tell her actually what I've said and actually what I've done. And I hold my breath and I go, okay, what's coming back?
Yeah.
But I value that in her, because everybody else mostly will just go, oh no, I'm with you, babes. I'm with you. And I go, well, don't be with me. I don't know what I'm doing. So Jo gives me that kind of,
I love that. We all need those friends, all of us.
Gosh, imagine we put them all together and what they'd say about us.
Oh my gosh, don't.
Let's not do that. All right, brilliant. Well, let's do number 5. Who's made the...
Right, number 5 is my partner, my fiance, Jack. And Jack is... Wow. So when Mum passed, this is part of my background. I talk openly about. I went on 50 first dates because I really didn't know what I wanted. I kept attracting men who were very much like my father, unavailable, had narcissistic tendencies, who pushed and pulled, and I just did not know where I stood. And so I went on 50 first dates to date men who were my type, not my type, wild cards. And I learned so much about what I actually wanted and about myself. And so then I put it into practice. And then I didn't date anyone for a long time because Mum had leukemia and she was very ill. And after she passed, I remember sitting with the 4 of us, my 4 friends. We were sat in Richmond in the Ivy, and I said, do you know what? I really feel ready now. And I'd surrendered. And I felt my whole body just go. And I met Jack. I literally met Jack a matter of days after. And I remember going off to the gym, and my mum, even though she's on the other side and as a medium, I channel her. She said to me, you're really happy this morning. This was after the first or second date. And I said, yes, I am, Mum. She said, good, because I've sent someone for you who can hold space for you. Oh, well, I was crying my eyes out in the middle of the street, walking to the gym with purpose, but crying. And everyone's looking at me going, what is going on with her? And I don't know if all women will agree with me on this, but it's something that I've seen a lot. If you are a woman who has a big calling in the world, you need a man to hold space for you. That's how it works. If I was with someone who was go, really successful, I'd feel like, who's holding space? Yeah. I need the hugs. I need someone to sit and listen, and I need someone to cheerlead me. And so Jack is unconditional. I have never met someone so unconditional who allows me to have and the fast-paced energy that I've spoken about. I can have an idea, and within half an hour, I've constructed a whole plan. I know what's happening. I know how it's happening. I know the ins and outs of it, which is ridiculous. But then I'll be like, no, I don't want to do that. I have so much incoming. Yeah. And so he just sits there and go, yes, dear. Yes, dear. I'm still here holding space. But he organizes my life. And even recently he said, I will do anything in my power to make it easy for you to do the work that's really meaningful to you.
Wow.
I have never had anyone do that for me.
He's a keeper.
He's a keeper. And he humbles me because I'll be like, I need you to be like this. I need you. And actually, no, I don't. That's just me sabotaging it a little bit because I'm not used to someone saying, all of this is for you.
Yeah.
Take it and don't question. And it's really interesting because I would normally have to ask, picking up from the train station scenario, I would have to ask and he'll say, where are you going? And I'll tell him, he'll say, would you like me to drive you? Babe, it's an hour away. It's fine. I'd love to do that. I get to spend time with you. What? I didn't understand that language. Very acts of service back to me. And it's something I value. You know, people who say they're going to do the things they say, people who show up, people who have already seen your situation and are prepared for it are valuable people. And this is the person that I've attracted into my life after many years of failed relationships. And I am so lucky. I am so lucky. I have to ask for nothing. Like, he's like, don't worry, I've changed your sheets. So your clothes are washed, ironed and folded. I'm like, you're like the cleaning fairy.
Yeah, okay.
She'll hire you out.
I love the sound of Jack, and you know, but I've got so many questions. Can I dive in? So,
yes, please do.
Well, first of all, well done, Mum, for sending him. You say you did attract Jack, but she kind of nudged him your way.
I'm sure she did.
And
she gave me what I needed.
Energetically, and obviously, back to your point earlier about getting the teacher you need when you're ready. Obviously, Jack is who you need right now.
Yeah.
And first, we have to back up the truck a bit, though, because I don't know what 50 First Dates is. Is it a TV show or something?
No. It's an experiment that I did. So
it's just a thing. I thought it was
No.
When you said I went on 50 First Dates, I'm going,
No.
Is that a telly program?
There is a film called 50 First Dates, but no. So basically, I didn't aim to go out on 50 First Dates. I just decided I would just date without any expectation, without actually seeking or looking for a partner. Just to experience men.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah. So it never went past the first date and there was never intimacy.
Yeah.
But I went in my whole self, laughed, I was funny, I was great to be with. I even wanted to date me. I was like, who's this person? And I didn't care if they called me after or not. And actually, I also learned to say, I really enjoyed your company and I really appreciate you coming, but I don't think there's chemistry. And I was able to say that very easily.
And there really wasn't every time.
There wasn't.
Amazing.
Or not just it was beyond chemistry. I was looking for someone who was willing to really own their person and to show me that they were in it for the long haul. So there was a lot of, this was just a test. This was just, an experiment. But I really recognized that someone showing me interest isn't enough. And the type that I'd constructed in my head, which was Nick, blonde hair, blue eyes, tall, athletic, that wasn't necessarily good for me. And so I could see beauty in many other aspects, and specifically things like intelligence and people who really have their own passions, who really are open. And Jack is incredibly open. I'll say, should we go and do this? And he'll know nothing about it. And he's a yes man. And I don't mean, yes, dear, let's do this. Yeah. He's like, wow, yeah, let's go and do it.
Let's just try it.
Yeah, let's should we go and move to another country? Yeah, let's do it. But we don't really know how it's going to happen.
But how is Jack then? What did he do to get to a place where, so he's now in service in his way.
Yeah.
And in that selflessness I'm hearing. So how did he get himself to such a sort of state where he could hold so much space for you and be content in himself? Well,
that's a good one. So he's always been in service to women. The only son, dad wasn't there. So he felt a sense of responsibility to take care of his sisters and his mum. So that's where the service started. And he actually says he enjoys doing it. And I say, I don't think you do. Do you do it because it's habitual? And previously, yes. But the thing that he gets reciprocation for now is the appreciation I give him. Nothing is a given. He could do something 100 times and I'll be, thank you so much for doing that. Really appreciate it. I will stop and I will look at him and give him that moment, because men love words of affirmation, right?
Yeah.
And I know he likes that. And when he's done something I forgot our 3-year anniversary. And he said, I booked a restaurant, we're going. I went, what are we going for? What's the occasion? He went, it's our anniversary. And I was like, I'm so sorry I forgot, but I really appreciate you doing this. What fun. Let's go and have fun. And he was so proud that he'd done something that put a smile on my face. So I'm always showing him acknowledgement, appreciation. And so that's what he gains. And equally, I cheerlead him a lot. Him a lot. You know,
you're doing it now, yeah.
Yeah. You know, he's 60 years old. He has a phenomenal body, and he takes a lot of pride in his appearance. And I'll be like, that outfit you've chosen, you look amazing. Look at those arms. Like, you know, look at the effort you put in. It's so nice. So
you're both getting what you need, is what you're saying.
I'm very wordy with him, and you know, physical touch is important to him. So early on, these were important questions I asked him. What's important to you in a relationship? And I assessed whether I could give that.
Yeah,
and
really good.
And I reflected the same and said, by the way, I'm also a diva. Can he handle that? And he's like, I'm sure I can. He can. He can. He knows when to engage and when to leave me alone to go through my process.
Yeah. Oh, I love that.
The reciprocation is the non-obvious, and not to say he's a pushover. A very masculine man.
Not coming across at all.
No, he's very masculine, very in his own purpose and what he wants to do. He has his sense of leadership, but the most important thing was for me, which I've not been very good at. And by the way, anyone in astrology, if you've got 2 in your astrological sign, like Gemini's twins, Libra, the scales, Pisces, 2 fish, one of the things that we need to learn is balance. And because we're either all in or all out, or we're energized or we're depleted. So our job is to learn balance. And so he's brought that to my life. He's brought
what's his star sign?
He's a Taurus. He's a bull.
Oh my God. This is the most mad thing. I knew you were going to say that.
Did you?
Because Catherine's a bull. She's a Taurus.
Right.
And I know she listens to all my podcasts. Hi, Catherine. So when you were speaking, I think Catherine is my Jack.
There you go.
Because she holds space for me. She does do that. She doesn't try and compete with anything that I'm doing time-wise, or she's always invested in everything that I'm doing. I don't always like it. Sometimes she's very direct with me. She's very strong with me. I've said this before on previous podcasts. I'm not used to that. There's an unconditionality with her in the sense that she's in. So
very loyal.
Incredibly loyal. She's in. We're a thing. We're a partnership. That's it. There's no question from her side. Me, I'm the flipsy flopsy one. But she's absolutely resolute. And while you were talking, I was thinking, I would say, Catherine. Well, obviously, I haven't heard everything about Jack. I'm sure he can't be everything. That would not be right. But it can't be that perfect. There's the imperfections is what we love, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%.
But I say Catherine's sort of version of Jack is maybe this was where they split, is Catherine holds me very much to account. And I'm not used to that. My ex-partner would hold the space, and people would say, oh, Neil is your grounding. He's your root. It allows you to fly because he's tethered you to the ground. Otherwise, you'd fly off. Fly off and in all kinds of directions. But he would never challenge me. He'd never say, "What are you doing that for? Are you sure that's the right thing to do?" Hence, I've had this kind of always do things for myself, by myself, and for everybody else as well thing. But Catherine's not like that at all. She's like, "What are you doing that for?" No, no, we're not doing that. And so that's maybe a slight deviation.
Yeah, but you're right. We need these. As Geminis. I'm sorry to keep going back up, but we are flighty people. We have. I joke and I say I've got 23 personalities, and sometimes it takes me a while to figure out which one I really am. But we do need these grounding people, and we do need to be challenged because we're multidisciplined in what we have. So we know a lot. We are able to do a lot. Yes. And so Jack does offer me that. So, when I was changing my pricing structure, I was like, oh, shall I drop it down? He said, why would you do that? You know what you're worth. Why don't you just do it? You've never done it before. Just throw it out and see what happens. And I'm like, it's almost like I got my permission slip to do it. Yeah. So I just did it. So we do need that supportive, challenging.
Yeah, amazing.
Aspect.
Well, I love This list, Yasmin, this is an amazing list of people. I've learned so much. I've learned about, I'm not doing anything unless my saucer has got some stuff in it.
Yeah.
I need to work on balance. I need to really think deeply and honestly in my mind about my motives and my, am I being helpful or am I seeking something? You know, I want to know. I'm going to be catching myself first before I offer anything and say, what's the motive here? I love the idea of having a Nick in my life who's going to make me actually look into my my mirror honestly. I think I've got my Jack anyway, Catherine, and so it's so funny that he's a Taurian as well. Catherine sends me loads of amazing, funny but not funny memes about a Taurian. And there was one she sent to me. I picked you. No, it was something about. It was like a Taurian flirting. I picked you, and I'm picky.
Yeah,
and I love that.
Sums them up. Yeah,
I picked you, and I'm picky.
Yeah, I love it.
Oh, great, thanks. You know, but you know, I see that for people like us, how important, vital, in fact, Nick's and Catherine's are. So now we get to the thing where I ask you specifically, are there things, I mean, we've talked a lot about the influences of these people. That's the format. That's why we honor them like this. But is there something that's either come to you through this conversation or you want to specifically draw out and say, this set of 5 people have really, I can see this element of myself in.
I think the thing that you've brought to my attention through this process, and specifically just the 5 just came to me last night, is how much every time I've needed to learn something, the right person showed up. And it's not always been lovely. In fact, quite the opposite. But I can look back on it with fondness and appreciate these people. And there is a saying in the spiritual world that your hardest lessons are given to you by the most loving souls. And that's absolutely what has happened to me. And it's not often we pause and recount our journey. So thank you for the opportunity to do that. And I just want to say, actually, I'm really proud of myself to get here without having any attachment to what happened and actually just be fine about it. You know, I don't stop and think about my own progress, and you've really allowed me to do that. So thank you, and learn a lot from you too in the way you deliver and this brilliant conversation. So I'm grateful for anyone that sits in front of me or is in my life, because everyone's a teacher as far as I'm concerned. And I could probably rattle off another 20 people that have shown me amazing things. So thank you for allowing me to reflect and pause and appreciate the people, honor the people. Honor is a great word. Honor the people that helped me get here.
Oh, wonderful. I'm glad to oblige. Let's put it that way. Okay. And then, so the next question is always then, well, how do you take all this forward in the world? What's next for you? Where do you see all of this going?
So my biggest mission is to show women in particular that they don't need to be responsible for everything, hence that overwhelm. That actually, if we embodied more of who we are, life could become so much easier. So I'm in the process of just setting up a retreat in Lisbon next year. And it's a real celebration in how to articulate your wants, needs and desires and hold up boundaries in the most loving, fun way, because life gets heavy and we get serious and we forget to enjoy life. So it's ending with a little rave.
I'm so in. I want to go, Yasmin. I want to talk to you about things and I want to go to a rave.
Right, it's fun. Something I do in all my retreats is, the first rule of my retreats is, if I don't hear you laughing all the way through, this is not working. And we go deep and we cry, but we come out with like hysterical laughter. And Jack, bless him, I've had a long-lived passion that I've always wanted to fulfill, is to learn how to mix music. So he bought me a set of decks. So my job is to create a rave playlist for the retreat, because it's so important to celebrate, and we do not do that enough, and hence why compliments and appreciation is so important. And so this is really it's called Afterglow, and you leave with an afterglow of, look at me, I've released something. So what's next is to celebrate women to show them it doesn't need to be this difficult, that actually the journey can be fun. It doesn't matter how deep the issues are, it can still be fun. And you don't need to go back and relive traumatic situations. We can actually just acknowledge they existed and still grow from them. And, you know, if every woman had a little button on her, I'd be the one turning it up. More of you, please.
I love that.
So I want to turn up more women in who they are, because it's needed. It's so needed. Like, you know, we didn't get into this situation in the world by mistake. It's been very masculine heavy, and women give that 360 view I mentioned, and we need more of that. So that's my job.
I love the idea of a female volume button.
Yes, exactly.
Brilliant. All right, and Afterglow, I'm definitely want to know more about that. I'm coming. Okay, I have two more questions for you. One is, who should I speak to next and why? I like to ask my guests that.
I actually think you would really benefit from speaking to Nick.
I really hoped you'd say that. I want to meet Nick.
I think you'll sense his depth, and you'll probably be completely won over. But I really think you should speak to Nick. I think,
you should say to him first. Don't hold back, Nick. She needs to hear everything. Tell her how she really is.
He absolutely is that in all ways. Yeah.
Or do me a favor. Will you speak to him first?
I will.
Just see if he's up for that. But I think Nick and I would have a very interesting conversation.
I think and you'll laugh. He's very comedic as well.
Oh, I'm sure. And I'm sure, but I don't think he'll let me off anything. See right through me. No, I'm genuinely, I think that'd be really fun. Okay, so final question, not really a question, it's more of an opportunity for you, which is, I've introduced this bit now because everybody I'm speaking to is so interesting and accomplished. So I say, well, where should we find out more about you? Anybody listening now, where can they find out more about you? And
so it depends which angle you're coming from. If you are very interested in breaking the cycle of overwhelm permanently by understanding and embodying a sense of more of your feminine essence, LinkedIn is your place. If you are slightly more open to spiritual work and manifestation, then Instagram is your place, because I'm always showing you. I have a program called Becoming Her. It's membership, and basically, everyone has a pre-written story of their soul, whether you choose to believe that or not. But when you get into true alignment of who you are, which is the true story of your soul, you become her, the version of her that has ease and grace in her life, that actually does less to achieve more. And so it's really important. This is where we turn the volume up.
Got it.
So that's the turning the volume up, and it's straight talking. It's no nonsense, and it's a very different message from LinkedIn.
Yeah, I bet.
So yeah,
a little bit less corporate.
Less corporate. Yeah.
Yes, gotcha. Well, listen, we'll put that on. We'll get the links from you and put them in the show notes anyway.
Lovely.
But Yasmin, it's been an absolute joy talking to you.
And you.
Honestly, I can't stop smiling, and I think I found this conversation so not easy in the sense of some of the content's been, we went deep a bit there, here and there, didn't we? But in terms of the back and forth with you, it's just so easy to talk with you, and I've really enjoyed it. So thank you so much for taking the time.
Oh, no, absolute pleasure. And thank you so much for brilliant questions and creating a wonderful space. I appreciate that.
Oh, well, bless you. Thank you. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Stay there, though. I really enjoyed that conversation. She's so open, and I loved how she was willing to share quite sort of intimate, private things, I guess. And I really respect that. I guess that's very much the sort of premise of the show, is to really get into things. So I hope you enjoyed that. That was Yasmin. Next week we have Monsoon Pabrai, and anybody in the investment world will know that surname for sure. And if you're lucky enough to know Monsoon as well, then you're in for a treat. So that's Monsoon for next week. But in the meantime, if you've enjoyed this show with Yasmin, please let me know. Please either comment or like, subscribe, follow the show, or get in touch in any way. It really does inspire me to keep going with this. I'm really enjoying myself, but I do love hearing from you. So please do get involved. So until next week, when I introduce you to Monsoon, have a great week ahead, and I'll see you then. Take care. Bye-bye.